In this 3-minute game review, we're looking at Hellslave. So hit that subscribe button and let's get into it. Hellslave is a turn-based RPG where you play as someone who has sold your soul in exchange for demonic powers to fight hordes of demons that have invaded your world. The game tells its story through stunningly drawn artwork that looks like it came out of an Alan Moore Hellblazer comic book. The sound effects were pretty basic, but the soundtrack was reminiscent of classic Diablo 2 music and befitting of its gritty demonic fantasy setting. At its core, Hellslave is basically a 2D turn-based RPG. At the start, you get to choose one of 6 demons to sell your soul to, and each choice has its own pros and cons. Beyond that, Hellslave has all the usual elements that you'd expect. Defeat enemies to level up, complete quests to get rewards, learn new skills, and find new loot to defeat even more enemies in tougher dungeons. But there are several elements that make Hellslave's gameplay unique. For example, the turns in the game are calculated as time, and each action, attack, skill, or spell takes time to cast. The enemy will react accordingly to how much time has passed and retaliate with their own moves. In addition, the dungeon maps are also time-based, and as time passes, the threat level gets to the point where the chance of an encounter gets higher and higher. On top of that, Hellslave has several interesting combat-related mechanics. Posture allows you to adopt additional strengths and weaknesses that complement your build, while Momentum allows you to use powerful one-shot abilities every few rounds. Rage is a third resource pool, aside from health and mana, where melee-focused characters can amass huge amounts of rage for bonus damage, or to use special skills that decimate your enemies. Once you've learned how the various skills can tie in to the other elements, you'll end up having hours of fun trying to create the best builds and discover the most game-breaking strategies to dominate your opponents. There is also a prevalent crafting system in the game, where you find recipes and ingredients to craft unique weapons and armor, although it is somewhat overshadowed by the quality of loot that you naturally get from farming the dungeons in the game. Hellslave is an intriguing main storyline and somewhat memorable characters. However, I wish that there were more choices you could make with regards to some of the quest outcomes. That said, I still enjoyed the main story immensely. The game has its flaws, like the lackluster crafting system, a lack of choices and agency in the story, as well as some minor UI clunkiness. But these are minor enough to overlook once you dive deep into the gameplay. Hellslave is addictive in the same way that Diablo 2 is, where you find yourself rerunning and farming dungeons, getting the best loot to complement a well thought out and optimized character build. The 2D turn-based nature of Hellslave might be a much slower paced departure from action RPGs like Diablo, but it can still rack up many hours of replayable fun. I would definitely recommend fans of turn-based RPGs to give Hellslave a try. If you're craving for more turn-based RPGs, check out our other videos. Otherwise, like and subscribe for more 3-minute game reviews.